Everybody, it's your boy JT Sports, and I'm back to you guys with another video. And boy, oh boy, Antonio Brown, aka Mr. Big Chest, strikes again. The Oakland Raiders are expected to suspend their star wide receiver Antonio Brown after he got into a general manager Mike Mayock Wednesday. You guys see it in the background. A lot of people saying Oakland robbed the Steelers, this and that, and now this guy isn't even going to play yet. And I asked this question the other day: is Antonio Brown really worth the drama? I keep on telling people, I don't know what's wrong with this dude. He's Terrell Owens 2.0. It is what it is. We can't deny his talent. We can't deny that he is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He's arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, depending on if you like DeAndre Hopkins, the guy who's reliable, if you like Julio, or if you like Antonio Brown because of what he does after the catch. But I mean, all three you can make a legitimate argument for, even Devontae Adams. But it doesn't look good for the Oakland Raiders. It doesn't look good. So they traded for this guy, and he's set to get suspended. They're already pretty thin at the wide receiver position when it comes to the outside wide receiver position. Now they do have Tyrell Williams, who I like a lot. So from a fantasy perspective, you definitely have to pick up Tyrell Williams. And Tyrell Williams, a lot of people have been raving about him. I just got done watching a couple episodes of Hard Knocks, and a lot of people there were talking about Tyrell Williams and how good that he was. So Tyrell Williams is going to step up and end up being that #1 target until AB comes back from however long he's going to get suspended. But I mean, the Oakland Raiders traded for this guy. Gave up a couple of picks, what Stephen A. Smith said, a bag of chips and a Coke, and yet he gets suspended. This guy is a locker room cancer. And at this point, if you're the Oakland Raiders, you got to look at yourself. You got to be like, hey, is it even worth still having this guy in the locker room? I mean, this dude is a cancer. This dude just posted a picture on Instagram, right? He got a Zenith helmet endorsement, and he said the helmet drama is over. If you're the Oakland Raiders, you have to be wondering to yourself, is he worth the trouble? Is he? Is Antonio Brown worth the trouble now? For those of you guys now on, Antonio Brown is set to get suspended by the Oakland Raiders after he got into it with general manager of the Oakland Raiders, Mike Mayock, Wednesday. Is Antonio Brown worth it anymore? I mean, he had the foot injury. You got the carrot. You had the helmet issue. I mean, and now he's about to get suspended for getting into a general manager, Mike Mayock. And I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, if you look at my live stream that I did the other day, where his reaction to the whole getting fined thing wasn't acceptable. He went on his Instagram story and said somebody's going to pay. So I'm not really surprised that this happened. So if you're the Oakland Raiders, at this point, you have to wonder, is it even worth still keeping Antonio Brown? Because he is a locker room cancer. And we saw this with Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens, we couldn't deny the talent that he had. But eventually, you're going to have to be like, forget talent. We need to get this guy out of the locker room. Because talent only takes you so far, right? Nobody is worth sacrificing the locker room chemistry and the morale of the locker room. I don't care how talented you are. No talented player is worth sacrificing the chemistry that you have in the locker room. And that's why we've seen Terrell Owens bounce from so many teams in his career. And Antonio Brown, I don't know what's going on with him. This is like the last 2 seasons since Pittsburgh, and now we traded him and things like that. I don't know what's been going on with him, man. I really do not know. The Facebook Live was probably the only incident we heard from Antonio Brown that really got him in trouble. And after that, it's just, ever since then, last season with Pittsburgh, and now the Oakland Raiders, it's just been downhill. Dude, Brown is way worse comparison, and talent does not take you there, idiot, or not. What? Somebody getting triggered? Dude, Brown is way worse. Bad comparison. Talent does take you there, idiot, or not, these problems wouldn't happen. Well, actually, if you were listening, actually, no player, no matter how talented you are, is worth keeping in the locker room when you're a big distraction like this. The Oakland Raiders traded for Antonio Brown, and they're already thin at the wide receiver position. Let me know something. Who at that wide receiver position can actually step up and replace Antonio Brown other than Tyrell Williams? They kind of handcuffed themselves. Hunter Renfrow and J.J. Nelson are two slot receivers, and they already are pretty thin at the wide receiver position. So you traded for Antonio Brown, and now he's about to get suspended. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It's no worth, despite how talented you are, if somebody is a cancer to the locker room, then you have to get rid of them. Because it's going to affect the team chemistry on the field, and it's going to affect the Oakland Raiders morale. At this point, I'm not trying to be biased because I'm a Steelers fan. I'm just calling it how it is. I'm not trying to be unfair to the Oakland Raiders, but I'm just calling it how I see it. Despite how talented Antonio Brown may be, he is affecting this team. He got into an argument with the general freaking manager. The Oakland Raiders are already pretty thin at the wide receiver position. Now they might have depth, but they don't have talented guys. Wide receiver was a big problem for the Oakland Raiders last season. Their best wide receiver wasn't even a receiver. Their best receiver was Jared Cook, and he was a tight end. So, the whole Antonio Brown thing, they might as well cut that guaranteed money and cut him. He never wanted to play for Oakland. He may never want to play for another team. The thing is, you really can't cut Antonio Brown now because for the Oakland Raiders, they cut Antonio Brown. You can't cut Antonio Brown. His cap hit is going to be way too large. Way too large. It's way too large. So if you cut Antonio Brown, the Oakland Raiders are basically going to be screwed for a season because this cap hit is so large. Jesus, all these comments, I can't read them all this fast, man. Let me read y'all comments. One guy called me an idiot. They might as well cut that guaranteed money and cut him. They want to play for Oakland. He about to be out the league. But it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to cut him. Even if you pay him his guaranteed money, it's still going to be a pretty large cap hit. Oakland's going to take a pretty large cap hit. Plus, they already paid Derek Carr. So, if you're Oakland, you have to roll with them. Because at the end of the day, you could trade Antonio Brown, but you're not going to get that much compensation for him. At this point, look what happened with Pittsburgh. Look what happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? This is one of the best organizations in the NFL, right? And they barely got any compensation for Antonio Brown, really. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, we were looking to get first-round compensation for Antonio Brown. Or a second-rounder. Nobody expected we would end up shipping him off to the Oakland Raiders for what we sent them to. So if you're the Oakland Raiders, you're in a tight spot. Now, unless you try to send him to a team that desperately needs some wide receiver help, like the Buffalo Bills or somebody like that, then that's pretty much your only hope. Unless you have a team that's in dire need of a wide receiver right now, you ship him off. But you're Oakland, you really can't trade him because you really don't have a lot of options at that wide receiver position. Other than Tyrell Williams and Antonio Brown, who do you have that's going to be able to play that outside wide receiver spot? That's the question there. So, if you're Oakland, this is a huge loss because the Oakland Raiders were looking for Antonio Brown to be a huge part of the offense. And also, I'm mad as a fantasy football owner because I just traded for Antonio Brown. I just traded Le'Veon Bell and the freaking Devontae. I traded Le'Veon Bell straight up for Antonio Brown. And now he's not even going to be able to play. They should have never got rid of Mac. I said that. I said they should have kept Mac and they should have kept Amari Cooper. Well, maybe you get rid of Amari Cooper because he wasn't really quite meshing with the offense. But, they should have kept Mack. Khalil Mack had, 14 sacks last year, and Oakland only had 13 sacks as a team combined. Khalil Mack literally won 3-4 games for the Chicago Bears last season. Outright. And there's not a lot of players in NFL history that have that impact on a team that they can literally help your team and win 3 games. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. If you're the Oakland Raiders, I'm not even trying to hate. I'm just caught because on this channel, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. College football videos, NFL videos daily. But I know I'm a Steelers fan, but I'm not even trying to be unbiased and some or whatever like that. I'm just calling it how it is, man. He is a locker room cancer. Antonio Brown was released. JT hating, y'all. Watch. I'm not hating. It's facts. MDTV. So you asked me who would I rather have, Juju Smith-Schuster and Antonio Brown, right? And I told you Juju, right? So who's going to be playing week 1? Antonio Brown or Juju Smith-Schuster, right? Who's going to be playing? I mean, you have to ship Antonio. I mean, if you're Oakland, you're in a tough spot, right? Because you trade Antonio Brown, you're going to get robbed because you're not going to get the proper compensation for him. And also, you're thin at the wide receiver position. Other than Tyrell Williams, who does Oakland have that can legitimately put up solid numbers at that outside wide receiver spot? Because Tyrell Williams, I love Tyrell Williams, but Tyrell Williams has basically been a good wide receiver 2 his whole entire career. He was a great wide receiver 2 for the Oakland Raiders, and he was a great wide receiver 2 for the LA Chargers, a good complementary piece to Keenan Allen. Now, can he step up and be that wide receiver 1? That's the question. That's the question. Appreciate the donation, NMDTV. I appreciate the donation. The guy has some deep-rooted... I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if it's the... I don't know if he has CTE or what's going on, man. Because, I mean, the only incident he had with Pittsburgh, well, the last couple of seasons before last year, was the Facebook Live issue. Was pretty much the only issue before last season. But, I mean, if you're Oakland, you're in a very tight spot, man. You're in a very tight spot. You can't trade them because if you trade them, you're going to get robbed. And if you release them, the cap hit is way too large to try to release Antonio Brown. It is. It's just way too large, man. It's going to be a huge cap hit. Now, for all you guys, we got 44 people in the live chat right now. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like this live stream and also make sure to subscribe to the channel. I got NFL videos, college football videos. You guys can make sure to go check those out. Browns always had these problems. Yeah, man. This AB situation about to turn into a black issue. Nah. It can't be a race thing, man. If people make this about race, then I'm going to just be done, man. Because I don't think this is a race thing, man. I don't think it is. Because you have a lot of black athletes that do what they're supposed to do and are not Antonio Brown. You have guys who are professionals. You got DeAndre Hopkins. You got guys like Devontae Adams. I mean... I don't think they can end up making this a race thing, man. I think Antonio Brown might have some mental health issues. It might be early stages of CTE. We need to realize we made a humble guy like Brown turn into a diva. Yeah, man. Bro, they gonna use it like that, get black people mad. I mean, I hope they don't try to spin it like that because there's a lot of professional black athletes that are professionals. You got guys who like Dak Prescott. Although a lot of people, and myself included, may think that Dak Prescott is an average quarterback and things like that, he is a professional. He is what you want out the quarterback position. He is a leader. He's everything you want out the quarterback position. But Antonio Brown, man, I mean, if you're the Oakland Raiders, where do you go? It has to be CTE, man. It has to be. We don't know if it's that playoff fit that he took from Fontaine Burfict a couple of years ago. I don't know what it is, man. But, I mean, a lot of Oakland Raider fans, when I was talking about the Antonio Brown trade, they disliked the video, said that the Pittsburgh Steelers got robbed, and the Steelers aren't going to be anything without Antonio Brown, this and that. And a lot of people saying Antonio Brown was better than Juju and things like that. But Juju's going to be playing week 1, and Antonio Brown's not. So those of you guys who are new, who just came onto the live stream, Antonio Brown is set to be suspended for the Oakland Raiders for getting into an argument, or he got into some kind of verbal altercation with general manager Mike Mayock Wednesday, which was yesterday, and he's set to be suspended. So if you're the Oakland Raiders, you're worried, man. You're worried. Can Tyrell Williams, how long? The amount isn't set yet, but I'm taking it he's not going to be suspended that long. To be honest, I only think he's going to be suspended for a game, really. Juju has more upside due to how young he is, and he's already a top wide receiver. Yeah. Yeah, man. So, I mean, if you're Oakland, you're in the top spot. You're in a tough spot. What up, though, JT Sports? Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is just acting like a kid throwing tantrums like a candy store. This makes... It doesn't. It doesn't. And the Oakland Raiders needed him, man. They really, really need him, man, because they already have a lack of depth at the receiver position. Might just be suspended for a quarter. I don't know, man. You don't really see in college football you suspend kids for a quarter and a half, but I've never seen a player get suspended for just a half in the NFL. Normally when players get suspended in the NFL, they get suspended for a game. But I don't think it's going to be a long suspension. I only think it's going to be like 1 week because the Oakland Raiders really need him. So if they suspend him for like 2-3 weeks, then I'd be really, really surprised. So I think it'll probably only be like a 1 week suspension or something like that. But I mean, it's still a big loss because you're playing the Denver Broncos. This is a divisional matchup. Okay, it's a new story that just came out. So it led to the confrontation. So yesterday when I live streamed, I talked about his Instagram story and his reaction to him getting fined and things like that. So that's what led to the verbal altercation between him and Mike Mayock was his Instagram story and his response to him getting fined and saying somebody has to pay. And I'm not surprised. Gruden's job is on the line. He tore that up. John Gruden signed. You know how long John Gruden is going to be head coach for the Oakland Raiders? John Gruden is secure for it. It doesn't matter how bad Oakland is going to be for the next 4 years. John Gruden's spot is secure, man. I mean, he signed like a 10-year extension. How am I being biased as a Steeler? Tell me how I'm being biased. The Oakland Raiders traded barely a bag of chips and a soda for Antonio Brown. They robbed the Pittsburgh Steelers. How am I being biased? Antonio Brown isn't finna be playing. He hasn't been in training camp. You think this might just be fake to come? This junk is not fake. It's definitely not fake. It was on his story as well. How am I being biased? Tell me how I'm being biased. The person who said I'm being biased, right? How am I being biased? I know I might be a Steelers fan, but I always try to be non-biased and everything. I even said that the Steelers are going to end up losing to New England this Sunday. And you know how much that hurts me to say that? So, I'm biased. I'm not being biased or anything. I'm just calling it how it is. The Oakland Raiders traded for a guy, and now he's not going to be ready to go in a very important matchup in Week 1. I don't care how early it is in the season. It's the divisional game. Does anyone know what the Raiders traded away for Antonio Brown? I think we traded like a 5th round. I think the Oakland Raiders gave the Pittsburgh Steelers a 5th round pick and like a late pick or something like that. I know it was a 5th round pick. Yes, the Raiders and Gruden. It was a 3rd and a 5th round pick if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the Raiders and Gruden are going to be near the bottom and will go down as top 3 worst move. I'm not even being biased, man. I don't know how I'm being biased. I don't. I'm just calling it how I see it. The Oakland Raiders are already thin at the wide receiver position talent-wise. You have Hunter Renfrow and you have J.J. Nelson, who are 2 slot receivers. Then you have Tyrell Williams on the outside. Tyrell Williams is solid, but can he be a number 1 wide receiver? I don't know. Who else is going to fill? Who's going to start for Antonio Brown when he gets suspended against Denver? Now, I don't think his suspension is going to be anything long. It's probably going to be 1 week or something like that. I doubt it's going to be anything long. But I just think the Oakland Raiders have had enough of him. I mean, the whole helmet issue kept them out of training camp. I mean, he could lose his $30 million. How could he lose his $30 million? I know it's something in the collective bargaining, the CBA or something like that. But I don't know, man. It's tough for the Oakland Raiders, man. You can't trade them because if you trade them, you're going to get absolutely robbed. You're just going to get absolutely robbed. You're basically going to end up trading Antonio Brown for a 7th round pick. And you're going to get robbed. You're not going to get... If the Oakland Raiders were to trade Antonio Brown right now, they would get robbed. They would probably only get a 7th round pick. And they would get robbed. I mean, if the Oakland Raiders trade Antonio Brown, they're not going to be able to get enough. Call Jerry Jones. To be honest, I don't even think Jerry Jones would even want to deal with Antonio Brown. And even then, the Dallas Cowboys really don't have the cap space to be trying to get him. If I'm the Raiders, I take my losses and trade AB. Ha ha, he's right, D man. I don't even think Jerry Jones will want to deal with the Antonio Brown problem, man. I don't even know. I know a lot of people make jokes about Dallas Cowboys players getting suspended and being troublemakers and things like that. But I think this whole Antonio Brown thing is just a whole nother level. I mean, Jerry Jones already had... Yeah, man. I mean, if you're the Oakland Raiders, you're in a very tough spot, man. You're in a very tough spot. Man, him and Zeke Jones... Man, I don't know what the Oakland Raiders are going to do. Was he even going to play with his burn? Yeah, he was supposed to go. Everything said that he was supposed to be ready to go week 1 versus the Denver Broncos. Yeah, he was taking the foot issue was like a couple of weeks ago. That got solved, but then he wasn't at practice because of the helmet issue. So I mean, if you're the Oakland Raiders, man, it's crazy, man. You're in a very tough spot, man. If you cut him, then I know even if they don't give him even if it's some way they don't have to give him the $30 million guarantee, I still think it's going to be a pretty large cap hit. And the Oakland Raiders don't really have an insanely amount of cap space. So if you're the Oakland Raiders, man, I mean, but the Oakland Raiders knew the risk they took, man, when they were trading for Antonio Brown. This isn't the only locker room problem who they have, or somebody who has had issues in the past. It's not just Antonio Brown. You got Burfict. Well, Burfict, he's not really a locker room issue. It's just he struggles to stay healthy because all the concussions and things like that. If Vontaze Burfict is able to play a full 16-game season, then he's a Pro Bowler, and that's a fact. And then you also have Rich Incognito. I'm butchering his name, but he was a former Pro Bowler. They got him in free agency, and he's not even going to be able to play for the first couple of games. So the Oakland Raiders, I think the Oakland Raiders knew the risk, and when they were trading for these guys, and when I was watching Hard Knocks earlier this morning, John Gruden said he wants to get the Raiders back to the brand of football that they played back in the 70s or something like that. He wants them to be nasty or something like that. But I mean, it's just very hard, man. I think the Oakland Raiders kind of knew the risk they were taking. This is only the beginning. Wait till it's a must-win game and he wants to flounder in the Air Force One. Is it possible that all these Brown issues are being manufactured to cover up his foot injury and is unable to play yet? I doubt it, man. I doubt it because even with the foot issue, right, he was clear and he was participating in training camp and things like that. So, I mean, Raiders might be playing for that -- 1 overall pick. I don't think this is a cover-up, man. I actually think Antonio Brown might be... I think he might be having some problems with the Oakland Raiders front office, man. And you got to think about the whole helmet issue and things like that. Because even with the foot issue, a couple of weeks ago, he was practicing. He was practicing this past week, if I recall. JT Sports does cocaine behind it. That's funny, man. That's funny. But yeah, man. So, I mean, if you're the Oakland Raiders, man, you're in an insanely tough spot, man. It's very hard. It's very hard. I was just watching Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd really upset at me talking about some Jerry Jones paid Ezekiel Elliott and things like that. But if you're the Dallas Cowboys in the fourth quarter down by 7, who you going to trust to win you the game? Dak Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott? And you know what Colin Cowherd had the nerve to say? He would trust Dak Prescott. Down by 7. I said, Colin Cowherd, if you don't go somewhere, man. Without Ezekiel Elliott, the Dallas Cowboys are not a playoff team. But I'm a little bit off topic. AB wants to play for New England. You know, it was funny because I saw something about New England was interested in trading for Antonio Brown, but I didn't know if it was true or not. But I mean, I don't think New England would take. I don't even think New England. It's certain people that they would take. It's certain people that New England would take. With New England, Josh Gordon. You can deal with Josh Gordon. The only thing Josh Gordon has a problem with is the marijuana and things like that. And Josh Gordon is my favorite NFL player. So if you're in New England, I'd rather have a guy who struggles with marijuana than have a guy who is a locker room cancer to the locker room. Really? But yeah, man. So like the Oakland Raiders, man, you're in a very tough spot, man. It's a very tough situation if you're the Oakland Raiders. I mean, you can't trade them because if you trade them, you're not going to get anything. If you cut them, it's crazy. So glad New England never traded for this cancel. Even if New England did try, if the New England Patriots gave the Pittsburgh Steelers a first round pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers still wouldn't have accepted that. Still wouldn't. Pittsburgh's a smart franchise. You wouldn't have traded him to the New England Patriots. New England would have made him sign the strict contract. Pittsburgh wouldn't have traded Antonio Brown to the New England Patriots. So whose fault was it? Big Ben or Antonio Brown? I think it's both people's fault, to be honest, because as a Steelers fan, Big Ben is a drama queen because him and Todd Haley had clashes as well and things like that. And Big Ben is a little bit of a diva in his own right. So it's both of those fault. But at the end of the day, it's like Antonio Brown got shipped away because the Pittsburgh Steelers chose Big Ben over Antonio Brown. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, it's not really a surprise. I mean, a lot of organizations tend to side with the quarterback over the head coach or over a player. How long you think the suspension probably only going to be 1 week? The issue started when Big Ben called him out publicly. And Big Ben has a habit of doing that. And a lot of players go to the media to call out players. Aaron Rodgers did it a couple of years ago. Wide receivers didn't really take too kindly to it and things like that. But he's not going to get suspended for a half, man. I'm telling you that right now. It's not college football. I've never, in all my years watching football, I've been watching football for 11 years. I have never seen a player get suspended for one half in the NFL. I've never seen that. I don't even think you can suspend a player for one half. His suspension is going to be something, man, because you guys got to think about it. It's not only just this. It's not only just the Instagram post, which is what caused the verbal altercation between him and Mike Mayock. It's the helmet issue. It's the fact that he hasn't been at practice. And I mean, it's just a lot of issues that's been building up to this point. So you gotta think about it. They fined him $50,000. He's been fined like a total of like $50,000 this whole entire off season for missing training camp due to the helmet issue and whatnot. So it's all just colliding into one. So he definitely, after everything that's been going on this off season with him and the verbal altercation with Mike Mayock, he's not going to be suspended for one half. I think it's not only just this, but it's just what he's been doing the whole entire off season. So I mean, I can't see him being suspended for a half. I've never seen an NFL player get suspended just for one half. So he's definitely going to be suspended for at least one game. I think it's only going to be a 1-game suspension. No AB, no Raiders playoff. What do you think? I mean, I still don't think the Oakland Raiders were a playoff team, even with Antonio Brown. Can't remember what team, but I'm pretty sure a team cannot. I don't know, man. But, I mean, the Oakland Raiders, they're already pretty thin at the wide receiver position, man. So Antonio Brown not being there is going to be a loss. It's going to be a loss. This will be one of many suspensions, man. And from a fantasy football standpoint, if you're an Oakland Raiders fan, you called it, JT Drama. I called it, man. Man, it's crazy, man. The Oakland Raiders are in a very tough spot, man. His suspension only for the national anthem he can play. Man, I wish. Oakland Raiders fans wish, man. But if you're the Oakland Raiders, man, I think this is a good chance to actually see what Tyrell Williams can actually do. Mad love to your channel, man. Appreciate it, man. For all you guys that saw on the live stream, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you're new, man. I was just working on another video too, trying to get a couple more out there. But I mean, if you're the Oakland Raiders, man, you're in a tough spot, man. You're in a tough spot. But you got Tyrell Williams. Now imagine if you ain't had Tyrell Williams. You'll be in a heap of trouble right now. And I really think Tyrell Williams is more than capable of being a pretty productive #1 wide receiver. I don't think he's going to have off the charts production, but I think he can have a Tyler Boyd-like season. If you remember Tyler Boyd, he was the wide receiver that had over 1,000 yards, 76 receptions for the Cincinnati Bengals last year, had number 83. I think Tyrell Williams going to end up having the kind of season that he had. Nothing crazy, but a pretty productive season for Tyrell Williams and replacing Antonio Brown if the Oakland Raiders were not to have Antonio Brown. Love your energy. Keep grinding, bro. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I'm gonna probably be on here for another 10 minutes, man. It's crazy, man. I mean, if you're the Oakland Raiders, man, you're kind of wondering what have you gotten yourself into, man. I mean, with one of those first round picks, you could have just went ahead and drafted another wide receiver. I mean, to be honest. And I mean, they got rid of Keelan Doss, man. Keelan Doss, he was Keelan Doss, man. He was one of the Oakland. He was an undrafted wide receiver out of UC Davis, and the Oakland Raiders cut him a few days ago. If you're the Oakland Raiders, I'm looking back at that decision. I don't think that's a good move, man. Because Keelan Doss, I've been confident in Keelan Doss' ability to be a solid option to replace Antonio Brown for a game, man. I mean, if you're the Oakland Raiders, I think if Keelan Doss is still available, you need to go ahead and bring him back, man. Because you're the Oakland Raiders, I appreciate that, man. But if you're the Oakland Raiders, man, you need to go ahead and bring back Keelan Doss, because I think Keelan Doss would have been able to have some production there. I don't think he would have had Antonio Brown production, because we know Antonio Brown is arguably the best receiver in football, but Keelan Doss would have been a very solid replacement until Antonio Brown comes back from however long his suspension is going to be, man. So if you're the Oakland Raiders, I think that was a bad move getting rid of Keelan Doss. So, I mean, the Oakland Raiders, man, it's very hard to see, man. I think if you're Oakland, you got to try to run the football a lot more, and basically, half the time I get alerts, Brown is just doing something like listening to your aunts talk about days or lives. Very bad move, man. I mean, I don't know, man, but from this standpoint, man, it looks like a very bad move from the Oakland Raiders. I mean, you had the frostbite. Appreciate the sub, man. Appreciate the sub. But for the Oakland Raiders, man, it's just a very, very bad move. It looks like to be a bad move so far. Is he confirmed suspended for sure? Oh, he's going to get suspended. He's going to get suspended. They're planning on it. They're planning on it. It hasn't came out yet, but he's getting suspended. He's getting suspended. And Adam Scheffler just confirmed it a couple of minutes ago, like when I was halfway through this live stream. He's getting suspended. Without a doubt. It's just a question of how long he was. So he's getting suspended. He's serving a suspension. The question is just the duration, man. But all this, I think the suspension just isn't coming from this situation. I think it's just been how frustrated Mike Mayock has been with Antonio Brown the whole entire offseason. Because you got to think about it. For the first couple, when training camp first began, Antonio Brown wasn't really there. And then even the OTAs, man. But do you think the Chargers would trade Gordon? Yeah, I think the LA Chargers would trade Melvin Gordon. Off topic, but would they trade Melvin Gordon? I think the LA Chargers are going to try to trade Melvin Gordon. Because you got to look at it, right? Melvin Gordon, like, he's a great halfback, but I do think that he benefits from being behind that LA Chargers offensive line, which was top 10 in the NFL last year. And the LA Chargers, I don't think they're going to let... If the LA Chargers trade him, I don't think they're just going to trade him for anything, because the Philadelphia Eagles tried to trade Jordan Howard and like a mid-round pick for him. So they're not just going to trade him away for anything. But yeah, man, so if you're the Oakland Raiders, man, you're in a tough spot, especially versus this Denver Broncos defense, man. Denver Broncos has a very solid secondary. I mean, you got Chris Harris Jr. That's going to be a tough task. Chris Harris Jr. doesn't give up a lot of touchdowns. I think in only like the past couple of seasons, Chris Harris Jr. has only given up like 4 touchdowns. So I think that's off the charts production if you're a cornerback, man. So the Oakland Raiders are in trouble, man. But for those of you guys who are new to the channel, make sure to like the video. He will still play Monday. He's not playing Monday, MCD Sports, he's getting suspended. That's already been confirmed by Adam Scheffler and a couple of other NFL reporters. He's getting suspended. And plus, this has all been a built-up to how frustrated the Oakland Raiders organization has been for Antonio Brown. You got to think about it. Got self-injured for wearing the wrong shoes, which caused him to get the frostbite. He wasn't at OTAs for some reason. He wasn't at, he's getting traded to Tampa. Tampa doesn't need Antonio Brown. Tampa doesn't need Antonio Brown. They got Chris Godwin and they got Mike Evans. They don't need them, really. What do you think of my Pats versus your Steelers this weekend? I think it's going to be a very close game like always. But it is going to be at home, which is why I think my Steelers are going to end up losing. Because we struggle on the road against Foxborough. Historically. I think the last time we won at Foxborough was like, what, 04? I think that's the last time we beat New England. At Foxborough, so it's very tough. But if you're the Oakland Raiders, man, you're in a very tough spot, man. But he's most definitely going to get suspended. The question nobody asks is, why is he even hanging around the GM's office and what was done? So, well, the thing is, I don't think he was hanging around. I think what happened was Mike Mayock approached him, and then they liked how he went about the Instagram posts and things like that. Because this guy on the Instagram post, he posted the how much he got fined and things like that, and also he posted also under that on his story is in the thumbnail of my Antonio Brown video. He said somebody has to pay. And that's not a good thing, man. NFL players shouldn't be taking their fines and things like that to social media. You can voice your displeasure, but like not like that, not in that situation like Antonio Brown has been, man. Toxic Player of the Year, probably has to be, man. It has to be. I can't recall a more toxic player in my lifetime than the last toxic player I recall was Terrell Owens, and that was it. That was it, man. But yeah, man, thank you guys for watching. I'm about to go ahead and end this. Make sure if you're new to the channel to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and also make sure to check out all the other videos that I have on the channel. I have my Clemson versus Texas A&M videos up. I have Texas versus LSU preview and predictions up, and I got a bunch of previews and prediction for all the Week 1 NFL games up. So make sure to go ahead, check those out. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and thank you guys for watching, man.